Mike Rowe, former President Gerald Ford, and Neil Armstrong. What do all of these men have in common? They were all Eagle Scouts. In fact, these three great men are just a few of the notable people who have achieved the rank of Eagle Scout. I joined Scouts as a first grader, and even then, I looked up to these great men. One thing that unites all Eagle Scouts is completing the Eagle Scout project, the crowning achievement of a young man's journey through scouting. Completing this project would put me on the same list as people who have led the United States of America, walked on the moon, and achieved the impossible. That is why achieving the rank of Eagle Scout and completing my project is my greatest source of pride. Once I started the process of planning, I had to commit hours to raising funds to buy materials. So even before I started the actual work, there was a large portion of work to be done. During the long hours while I was working on completing my Eagle Scout project, I realized how much I had learned about how to lead and accomplish a huge task. First of all, my project involved a lot of thinking on the spot. Working with diggers and working long hours is a very hard job, especially when many of them are volunteers. Many of the workers have had longer and more experience than I have, which created points of contention where I had to decide to stick with my plans or go to something else. Many of the workers were relatives who I've listened to for many years. They too had their own opinions. These points of contention led me to think on the spot and decide whether it was okay to stay with my plans or change. While thinking on the spot was challenging, there were a lot of other things that challenged me as well. Many of the project was slowed down because of lack of preparation. Digging is hard enough, but when you only have 3 wheelbarrows to move all of the dirt 200 yards away in the woods, it gets a lot harder. Eventually, I was able to persuade one of the leaders to loan his truck. This taught me that hours of preparation even can lead to mistakes like this. In addition, I had done the math. I had checked it, triple checked it. But there was a mistake that I would not catch until a week and a half into my project. I was significantly short on the number of pavers I needed for my walkway. This taught me to pay attention to the finer details, even if they seem non-important in the moment. While no project is perfect, it is not possible without the help of many others. There were several points in my project where I had to rely on the advice of others to complete it. Part of the planning process is to streamline everything so that it can be explained to the workers without causing confusion. With this, there are many hours of research involved for how to lay bricks and patios. During this time, I counted on my family to help with the research so that I could explain as best as possible to the workers. Part of keeping the project going at all times is to delegate. It was a very hard job because I felt I alone had the responsibility to complete this project, and pawning off work to others felt wrong. But no one can be everywhere, so it is very important to delegate. This is something I learned during my project. Let me conclude by saying, while planning is an important part of any task, sometimes things will come up in areas that would have been impossible to predict. Having the ability to think on the spot and come up with solutions in short periods gave me the confidence in that situation where the parameters are less than ideal. Now I know I can push through and persevere. Any project or task will have its shortcomings. Any attempt to claim that something was perfect or without any hiccups will never be helpful. Learning that it's okay to mess up is very important for me. Just as long as you handle your mistakes with as much grace and determination as possible. When a task seems too big or insurmountable, it means you just have to ask for help. Working through my project, I learned that it's okay to ask for help, and that is when the most experienced people in your life help you who are able to learn something. Being able to have the experience of completing an Eagle Scout project has given me some life lessons. Now I am very proud when I admire the project and people use it as it was intended. Every time I see it, I am reminded about a very challenging but rewarding part of my life.